What's up YouTube, it's your boy Nash here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another episode of WWE's Biggest Issue. This week's episode is on the pros and cons of WWE Crown Jewel. Now you're wondering, why am I doing this? Well, hang on, let me... Sorry guys, I had to move my camera for a bit. Anyway, hold on. There we go. The reason why I'm doing the pros and cons of Crown Jewel is for a few reasons. Number one, this is actually WWE's first Saudi Arabia show in forever. I think the last one was actually Super Showdown last year in 2020. Yeah, last year, Super Showdown in 2020, where we had a pretty decent card, I would say. We had the New Day versus Miz and Morrison for the Smackdown Tag Team titles. We had Brock Lesnar versus Ricochet for the WWE title, which ended very badly. Like, really badly, like in just under a few minutes, which was very sad. Very sad. We had The Fiend, Bray Wyatt versus Goldberg for the Universal title, which ended in controversy, of course. We had Roman Reigns versus then King Corbin, back then, in a steel cage. We had the two-way gauntlet match, which originally supposed to have had, I believe, Rusev originally. Then it ended up being... Then it ended up being Rey Mysterio, but because that Gallows and Anderson had took out Rey Mysterio, The Undertaker ended up taking over, and he ended up defeating AJ Styles, Bobby Lashley, Andrade, Eric Rowan, and R-Truth. And the term Tuweg, I believe, is based on a mountain in Saudi Arabia, if I remember right. Bayley versus Naomi for the SmackDown Women's title. Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy versus the Street Profits for the Raw Tag titles. And, of course, the aforementioned Gallows and Anderson against the Viking Raiders. And then we had Angel Garza versus Humberto Carrillo. Now they're a tag team. Who knew? Who knew they would actually become a tag team? That's very weird. Given the fact that when Angel Garza debuted in the main roster, they hated each other. Who knew? And then, of course, Mansoor versus Dolph Ziggler. This one is different because there are so many things that can go wrong with this one. Another thing that can also go wrong is the fact that if you look back on the last Crown Jewel event that we had, which was in 2019, the card was Team Hogan versus Team Flair. Team Hogan had Roman Reigns, Rusev, Ricochet, Mustafa Ali, and Shorty G, or I guess now Chad Gable. Team Flair had Drew McIntyre, Baron Corbin, Bobby Lashley, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Randy Orton. Then we had Braun Strowman versus Tyson Fury, who actually just defeated Deontay Wilder yet again. Via knockout. Has retained his title. Shout outs to Tyson Fury for that impressive victory. Then, of course, Brock Lesnar versus Kane Velazquez. Never thought I would see... I never thought I would get the chance to call a match involving Kane Velazquez. That's, like, crazy. That's insane. For the WWE title. Then, of course, we had a tag team turmoil, which I believe, if I remember correctly... Yeah, I thought so. Was to determine who was the best tag team in the world. And it was the OC, Gallows and Anderson, the Revival, Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder, if I remember right, Hawkins and Ryder, the Lucha House Party, Rude and Ziggler, the Viking Raiders, the New Day, Heavy Machinery, Tucker and Otis, and the B Team, and it was a hell of a turmoil, but the OC ended up winning that one. Then of course we had Mansoor versus Cesaro. Mansoor won that match. Seth Rollins versus the Fiend Bray Wyatt for the Universal title. Falls count anywhere. We had a 20-man battle royal, which I believe that battle royal was to determine who would face AJ Styles for the United States title, which ended up being Humberto Carrillo, who ended up losing to AJ Styles. And then for the first time ever, we had a women's match between Natalya and Lacey Evans. Now the card is as follows. Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, Sasha Banks for the SmackDown Women's title. RK Bro, Riddle, and Randy Orton against AJ Styles and Omos for the Raw Tag Team titles. Big E versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE title. Bobby Lashley versus Goldberg, no holds barred. Edge, Seth Rollins, get this, Hell in a Cell. Apparently the match has been scheduled for Crown Jewel. Given the fact that hang on guys, let me see if I can. Did they announce it on Crown Jewel for Crown Jewel? I don't think they did. No, I don't think they did. Oh wait, yeah they did. Oh okay, yeah they did. I thought so. Yeah, so they did announce it for Crown Jewel. So it will take place at Crown Jewel. I can't say that I'm surprised. Hell in a Cell. This is actually the first time in a while. I think since this past June that a Hell in a Cell match was going to take place outside of its own pay-per-view, which is insane. And ironically enough, Seth Rollins has been in a few Hell in a Cell matches. One of them was against the likes of Dean Ambrose, against the likes of Kevin Owens, Bray Wyatt. Edge knows Hell in a Cell because of his match with The Undertaker in 2008. If you guys remember that one, that was a hell of a fight. And I know that because I actually saw the pay-per-view myself. It was a hell of a fight. Trust. That match was nuts. Honestly, there are so many things that can go wrong with this pay-per-view, but there are a few things that can go right. One of the biggest things that can go right is the fact that is the match between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. You guys know how long this rivalry's been going on for. This has been going on for years, ever since 2015. So 15, 16, 17, 18. So about 6 years. This rivalry's been going on for 6 years. And this ties into the question, where does Paul Heyman's allegiance lie? Does it lie with the bloodline, or does it lie with Brock Lesnar? And ironically enough, Paul Heyman had mentioned this past Friday on Smackdown that he had known Roman's family for 4 decades, where as opposed to him being with Brock Lesnar, he's only known Brock Lesnar for 20, so half that timeline. So for Paul Heyman, it's a very complex situation. He's at a bit of a crossroads because I think what Brock Lesnar is trying to do is he's trying to get Paul Heyman to join up back with Brock Lesnar, which would be a bad decision on Paul's part, because if he did that, the consequences would be extremely dire for Paul Heyman. But as far as this match goes, I think one of the biggest things that can go wrong with this match is the fact that we could very well have a repeat of what happened at Extreme Rules, because if you guys remember, at Extreme Rules, if it wasn't for the Usos and the little mishap, the freak accident involving the top rope, Finn Balor would be Universal Champion. The Demon would be Universal Champion, but we're not getting that because of the fact that the Usos got involved and the top rope broke off. He got lucky. Roman, I'm being real, and I talked about it, and I said it on Twitter. Roman Reigns got lucky. He got lucky. 100% lucky. It was dumb luck that gave Roman Reigns the victory. This sense, it could happen again, but knowing Brock Lesnar, luck will not be on Roman's side, because even with the Usos, Brock Lesnar could still win it. It is very, very possible, but I will say this, and I'm going to be going a little more in depth with each of these matches in my prediction video. I believe I'll be doing that this upcoming Sunday. This Sunday I'll be going a little more in depth with it, because we're like about a week away from the pay-per-view anyway. I believe we're about a week. Yeah. So we're literally a week away from the pay-per-view. So I'm gonna be going in depth with it on Sunday. But yeah, again, I think the pros of this match, it becomes one of the biggest matches in WWE history. The cons of it, it could very well end in controversy. Which when it comes to these pay-per-views in Saudi Arabia, they can go south really quickly, especially with what happened between The Fiend and Seth Rollins. The Fiend is the reason why Seth Rollins is the man that we see now, calling himself the Visionary and whatnot. It's all because of The Fiend. And then, of course, to Lynch, Belair, Banks, there are so many things that can go wrong with this. But one thing that I feel like should happen, because of the cut-in, if you will, of Charlotte Flair, we could see a fatal four-way. If things go south in tonight's tag team match, which will be between Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair against Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch, if that match goes south tonight on Raw, there's no doubt in my mind that it's going to be a fatal four-way, winner take all. I know that for a fact. That is a match I feel like we all need to see, because if Becky Lynch wins both the Raw and SmackDown Women's titles again, Becky Two Bells will return. Becky Two Bells will return, but the only con of this whole thing is that, well, Charlotte Flair wins the SmackDown Women's title, because this happened before, back in 2019. If you guys remember, at Money in the Bank, a couple years ago, if you guys remember, Becky Lynch had defended the Raw Women's title against Lacey Evans, and Becky Lynch made her tap out to the Disarmer to retain the Raw Women's title. But then Charlotte Flair came in, and with the help of Lacey Evans hitting Becky Lynch with the Woman's Right, Charlotte Flair defeated Lynch to win the SmackDown Women's title. But she was cashed in on by Bayley for Bayley to win the SmackDown Women's title. That being said, now that the Money in the Bank briefcase is no longer a factor, the big factor will indeed be Charlotte Flair, because the Charlotte Flair. Because, and again, I will be again, as I said, I'll be going a little more in depth with this on Sunday's video. So make sure you guys are subscribed to watch it. Yeah, again, I think a Fatal 4-Way would be perfect. As far as RK Bro goes, I think this might be the squash match of the whole card, just because I know how this is gonna play out. I already know, so don't need to explain. Big E versus Drew McIntyre. This is gonna be another squash match because there's no point in these two fighting one another. These are the top baby faces on Raw. Well, as far as now goes, but as far as the draft, McIntyre is going to be the top baby face on SmackDown. Big E's going to be the top face on Raw. There's no point in these two fighting. Goldberg and Lashley, so many things can go wrong. One of them is Goldberg suffering from massive injuries, Lashley suffering from massive injuries. So many things can go wrong. Not much else to say. As far as Edge versus Rollins, yeah, we all know how chaotic that's going to be. But another thing that dawned on me as well, and I want to take you guys back to 2019. To Crown Jewel 2019. If you guys remember, during that time, everything went south. The flights became extremely delayed. Everybody had to stay in Saudi Arabia for a couple days, and that gave NXT the opportunity to literally invade SmackDown. If you guys remember that episode, it was a hell of a time. But of course, too, NXT ended up winning Survivor Series with 4 points. In fact, truth be told, the only match that Raw ever won at that Survivor Series was the Viking Raiders defeating the Undisputed Era with the Viking Viking Experience to win that triple threat match, which was pretty crazy. I think they took on also the New Day, if I remember correctly. Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode as part of SmackDown. Eliminated the Street Profits as part of Raw to win the cross-branded Battle Royal, so that gave SmackDown 1 victory. Roman Reigns pinning Keith Lee to win to be the sole survivor, giving SmackDown their second and only second point, and then the rest was just NXT. Lio Rush, retaining his Cruiserweight title. Rhea Ripley becoming the sole survivor against Sasha Banks. Roderick Strong defeating both Nakamura and AJ Styles. And then of course too, Shayna Baszler making Bayley tap out to the Kirifuda clutch. That was a hell of a card. That card was stacked. And there were 3 title matches on that card that night. Adam Cole versus Pete Dunne for the NXT title. The Fiend versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE title. Brock Lesnar versus Rey Mysterio. For the Universal title. Sorry. And then Lesnar versus Rey Mysterio for the WWE title, which was insane. With this Crown Jewel, that could happen again. We could very well see no superstars, make it back from Saudi Arabia because of the flight delays and so many other things can go wrong. But I will say this, the biggest pro of this whole card is the fact that all these matches end the way that people want it. Because when you look at Reigns versus Lesnar, people want to see reigns as champion. The triple threat match, Becky Lynch. And again, these are not my predictions. Just as a heads up. RK Bro versus Styles and Omos. RK Bro. Big E versus Drew McIntyre. Obviously, Big E's gonna win. With McIntyre on SmackDown, Big E's just gonna win it. It's easy. Lashley versus Goldberg. The match can go either way. Edge and Rollins. The match can go either way. There will be other matches on the card, from what I've been told. From the rumors I've heard, there might be more matches on the card, but one of the biggest cons of this whole thing, as I said, is that the card can go south. We might see mishaps. We might see... Honestly, anything can happen when it comes to Crown Jewel and pretty much any other show in Saudi Arabia, because, well, yeah. I mean, there's really not much left to say except that if this pay-per-view goes south, not this coming Thursday, but next Thursday, I don't know. I honestly don't know what to expect. Honestly, it might get to the point. It might come down to the point where the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia might tell WWE, if this goes on, we're done. But I'm not gonna hold my breath. Again, I will be going in depth with these matches on Sunday when I do the Crown Jewel predictions video. So make sure you guys are subscribed and stay tuned for that. But that brings me to the question of the day. Out of all 6 of these matches, which match are you looking forward to the most, and who do you want to see win? Let me know in the comments below. And that is going to do it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys want more episodes of WWE's Biggest Issue, which gets posted every Monday, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on any new content that comes your way. And be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. All the links will be down in the description below. And if you guys have any fan mail that you want to send me and want me to open up on the channel, my address will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.